Welcome to another episode of Enter the Matrix. We today, instead of Anthony or Ines, we have another co-host. It will be me, Typhus, with Jeremy. That way. Oh, I managed. Jeremy will also co-host with me. Jeremy was also involved in WTC. You were a coach of Team Canada. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I was the coach for Team Canada for the 2022 WTC, and I'll be coaching them again for the 2023 season.
So I expect, like in previous episodes, you will probably have some questions as Ines or Anthony had. And we are today joined by another lovely man from a country that's famous for being the tallest in the world. So, welcome, Ruud. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me. Yeah, my name's Mr. Ruud. I can be Ruud whenever I want. I'm now, I think this is the fourth year I'm officially WTC captain. First time I went as a captain this year because of COVID, obviously. Played all kinds of weird Warhammer and been playing it for, I think, 22 years now. Mostly competitive since 8th. Because at a certain point you have money and you could travel and all that kind of jazz, but we know how that goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, happy to be here.
So, usually, what I'm trying to do in those interviews is like set the stage is just like a regular talk. So, about WTC, how did you guys perform this year? Because I know I know you've played against Canada for once, but like,
Yeah.
how, like when it comes to the previous year, what was your experience?
So the Netherlands, as far as I have known it, before I really attended, was mostly a group of friends who really wanted to go there, and like almost everybody tells you, the first time you've been to a ETC or WTC, you're hooked. It's yeah, I see your head going like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when those guys first went to ETC, they were like everybody else hooked, and they wanted to come again and again and again. But from my feeling and from the stories I got from them, it was mostly beer and pretzels, which is fine. I mean, you can make it a holiday, you can get your asses kicked. And then when I joined in, I think Croatia in 2018, 19,
Yeah, that was Croatia.
yeah, um, and that was really fun and it got me hooked as well for obvious reasons.
You played back then. You were a regular player,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I was the Dark Eldar player. I think that was in just start of 8th when Dark Eldar got really good again at the start of the year. And I've been playing Dark Eldar since 5th edition, so that was my go-to army. I did some really good results, so they then captain asked me to join. And from there on out, I noticed that a lot of guys didn't put in the effort. If you, for example, nowadays, as we looked at the Canadian pairing sheets from this year, because that thing's massive, and we were all in the car just driving to Croatia back in the days, and then we were filling in our pairing sheets, and you go like, well, I think I have a green here, an orange here, and a yellow there. Croatia was back then, I think, the best result we ever had with 16th place out of 32 for them back in the days. That was really good. And then I wanted to make it better. So at a certain point, when Michel dropped as a captain, I already made up a charter and asked guys to join me and do some stuff. And then our goal was to really go, like, we wanted to get top 10, which if you look at our record, it's really challenging. So we have been practicing for the last 3 years. I wanted to get the best team with the best chemistry. And yeah, for prepping, it's training days, it's planning everything, it's visiting other countries, it's doing the, yeah, checking the meta, making sure everybody plays at least two different armies and not everybody the same. So it's a challenge sometimes because I think I have four guys on Zoltan now. or Votan, sorry. Um, yeah, and from there on out, we got, I think, the best result ever because we got seventh this year, and we beat Canada by 1 point. So that's all good, glorious.
So
That was
so
a
I
great
assume
round.
like the feeling in your country was that like the score was good. Like you guys were happy with the result, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you touched upon some of the topics that I think we should like get into more information about them. Like you said that you want players to have two armies preset, and before we get to that, how do you even guys approach choosing the team?
So at this moment, I have written an updated charter where everybody can attend or everybody can sign in to become a prospect. Then every month we have at least one training day, and starting in January till July, I want everybody that wants to get into the team needs to attend the training days. You could miss one or two because life happens. But if yeah, and from there on out, the moment you set up, we will do team trainings, and I think I have 27 prospects now. And on the next training day, in January, we have already 18 players, so we have an 8 versus 8.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna,
So it's
we're gonna
IRL. You meet somewhere.
sorry.
You meet somewhere in real life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. The Netherlands is a small country, so everything is on 1.5 hour drive max. And the room that we're using is the one that we also do the tournaments. Where you been last year?
Yeah, Amersfoort, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So from there on out, we just do 1 or 2 rounds. We set up a lot of prospects, especially just either throw them under the bus or give them a really good pairing where they say, "No, I'll get 20-0 here. That's easy." And then you said, "Okay, here's your 20-0. Go show us." And then they see that, oh, if somebody plays really defensive, I only get 10 points. That's weird. Or um, this army or is not what I've expected, or the I only play my friends around town and they get fucked over because hey, there's a player with a lot of skill instead of your best friend that only plays one games a month.
Okay, so you meet you meet to play those games. Was that the case last year? I know we played you guys in March in
Yeah.
Amersfoort. How did you guys approach it last year? Did you have like, for example, when you had, even if you had every month that one day of gaming, how did you
Mhm.
then narrow down the team of 27 people to eight?
Yeah,
What's your approach?
last year we had about 18 to 20, and from there on out, we just looked at results. Last year, we also did a Dutch ranking. So everybody that went to a tournament, we just kept their scores. We used the Scottish Charter back in the days with their ranking system, and then from there on out, we just looked at okay, who's the best player, who's the highest scoring, which armies did he play, and we were fortunate enough to have a couple of guys that can either jump on an army real fast because they're just good at the game. And we had a couple of guys that were just playing, for example, Thousand Suns for the last 2 years. I had somebody who was playing Dark Angels for the last 3 years. Um, we have a couple of Eldar, Dark Eldar, and Quinn players amongst myself. And from there on out, I just had a really, really nice mix. We picked a couple of the best players, and then we were looking at cool, what's the right army, um, what's the best way to play it, do we have faction specialists, and from there we just cherry picked.
So, did you have like a set date in mind to choose the team at that point? Did you decide that, for example, in May you have to have everything set?
Yeah, I think we had February last year to have the team ready, so we were able to already do a lot of training as a team and then use practice rounds against other players or just especially against each other.
Mhm.
Um, During COVID, we were fortunate enough to make sure that we were all still able to drive and stuff. Because yes, we did have some lockout laws, but it wasn't that harsh, so we could still travel and visit each other. Um, and I know a lot of countries use TTS as a tool, and like I already told you before, I suck at everything that is technological. So
For
if
reference, Ruud needed to install Chrome to set up this call.
on my work laptop, yes, shut up.
So you guys were able to continue practicing in person throughout COVID, and even when you had outbreaks or lockouts from your within your country.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, Dutch people are not really as they don't forbid things. They just highly recommend stuff. So our prime minister was like, "Oh, we highly recommend people to stay at home and not visiting more than 2 people a day." Cool. So I can visit my friends and we do corona test pre day and then whatever. No,
Okay,
it's
well, you still took that step of actually testing yourself, so
it's I don't want to do too much over corona, but I still think it's a fucking joke. But that's a different story.
yeah.
Um, no, we were just practicing a lot as much as we could. I know a couple of us really got into TTS. The most funny person that I have now on the team was Dino,
Hmm.
because he was like, "No, TTS is shit," blah 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 blah. At this moment, he's now hooked on TTS and he's playing with Yokul Foten versus Foten. He just flipped 180 degrees and he's no, need to get TTS. We need to do TTS. Blah 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 blah. I get it. I just don't have the patience or the computer for it at the moment. So
So you guys do not plan on using TTS? Like, I know many more teams are now using it for those 8v8 matches. Like,
mhm.
I think last year set up like a standard in a way that more teams are joining in, at least from the teams that approached us to actually
Yeah.
play with us. So you guys wanna actually do that, or your team kind of doesn't feel like doing it?
No, I have around 10 people that are already in a TTS team. So we have a Dutch representation of TTS team. However, the to say it a little bit blunt, our best players aren't into TTS at the moment. A couple of reasons is, well, I think I'm one of the best in the Netherlands, and I suck at technology. Our best guy Justin is just too busy with work and life, so he's not playing TTS. And then we have a couple of guys who don't believe in it yet, and then the rest of the team is slowly rolling into it. So I think out of our last year's team, there's about 4 to 5 guys on TTS now.
Okay, but
So,
from what you've said, it doesn't sound as bad for you guys to actually not use TTS as much as people from bigger countries, right? You
yeah,
can easily afford to go like 1 hour drive from one city to another when everything is so close,
yeah,
which won't be a thing in, say, countries like Poland, UK, or Canada.
yeah. Canada, the States, well, Australia is debatable, but yeah, if you're living on one side of the States or Canada, you need to go to the other way for 1 or 2 games or maybe 3. Good luck.
Yeah, 6 or
Even
7
on the
hour flight.
even
Hmm.
on the same coastline, like that's not gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
vertical difference can be huge. So you guys do not feel like actually enforcing TTS. You kind of are happy with few people playing it because you still get the chance for like newer faces to see how it works, right?
Yeah, I think, like I said, from the 25 prospects that we have this year, around 10 people are new faces or people that went to a tournament and spoke to one of us and they were like, "Oh, that's really cool, and how does it work, and oh, you can come to a training day, etc., etc." And then they rolled in and ended up tabling a couple of my guys, so that's always a positive prospects like, oh, I don't know this guy, and he just 20-0'd some of my. Oh, that's really nice. What are you doing in August? Like,
So, do you have like a set date already when you want to choose the team, or do you choose it yourself, or do you guys take the full Scottish approach?
no, we have been adapting for the last 3 years now because the moment I became captain during COVID, I took the Scottish approach, and from there on out, we are now in a way that we have our coach, Tom. Tom became like our head coach, and then he was able to pick the best player or the guy he thinks best in the team, and then they together pick the next one, and then the third take a fourth one, and our deadline is the 31st of March. So
Okay,
we have
so you'll probably use Amersfoort this year as like last days of training.
yeah. Yeah, I already set on all the training days. I've already booked in most tournaments. 18th and 19th of March, we have the big team event. You know, the Euro Trash Cup, like Dino likes to say, call it. So it's ETC, you abbreviate it. Um,
You
so
might
that's
want to sell this because maybe like another team who doesn't know about it will hear about it, and you will get another team coming in.
yeah. I think we already have 6 or 7, so that's a good thing. But I'll just do a quick sales pitch. 18th and 19th of March, we have a weekend where we will host a 8 versus 8 team event. We want to get all the WTC countries. So at the moment, we have the Netherlands, we have Belgium, Germany, France, Poland. I think Iceland's
Iceland.
coming, Scotland. So we have a spot left. So yeah, if there's anybody in Europe willing to drop by, send me a text or a Facebook chat or an Instagram chat, whatever. And then tickets are €400 for an 8-man team, so $50 a pop. It's WTC terrain, full on out. I borrowed some extra WTC terrain from Tom, and we have all the easygoing gaming mats where all the objectives are on. So that's very nice. So you don't have to measure all your stuff out all game long. And then yeah, we have a nice dinner where you can have ribs, beers, and some platters beforehand. Last time was, well, every event we have it. It's really nice and socialize and have beers because there's a beer brewery next to the actual venue. I
Yeah,
think Piotr had fun there last time, so
yeah. I enjoyed myself.
That sounds wonderful. Every time you guys talk about these things, I'm always jealous that we're, an 8-hour flight away.
you can
It
come. We
might
still have
still
spot for one
probably
team.
be cheaper than you traveling around Canada.
Yeah, actually, it is. It might be cheaper to have a team day with at Hammersfort than in Ottawa or Toronto.
Really?
Yeah,
Fucking hell. Okay.
that's what we've been talking with Anthony. That for him, actually traveling to UKTC events is cheaper than going for US events.
Yeah, like it'd be cheaper for me to go to the LGT than for me to go to LVO.
Yeah, so
How? Just
Massive country and things aren't cheap. But yeah, anyways, that actually sounds really interesting. I'm sure that you'll find an eighth team for that. Uh, I guess I want to circle back a little bit to, you mentioned Tom, your coach, right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, how did he come into the picture? How long has he been involved with the team?
Um, I think Tom has been our coach since almost the day that I became captain.
Hmm.
Uh, maybe the second year because obviously the first year wasn't happening. But Tom is just a gift from heaven. Sometimes we call him because we can't do stuff without Tom. Because the first year I did some small intake chats and I said, "What are you bringing to the team?" And some people added massive dicks, and somebody said like, "Well, I'm the biggest super autistic guy in the Netherlands. So if you want to get shit fixed, you need me." So I said, "You're on. You're a coach," and that was Tom. So every event we go to as a team, and that's so much fun because he comes in and he goes like, "Cool, so I printed all your tickets for the flight, and then I printed a map for the hotel where we're going, and then I printed all the army list from all the teams."
Holy
Because
smokes!
when we went to
This
Allies of
WTC, you had all the books in the game, right? You had like a
yeah,
whole stash of all the codexes and
You were
yeah,
missing
expansions.
2 codexes, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
yeah. The most dumb thing about this is because I used to work at GW till July, so I bought every codex with a discount for obvious reasons, and I just bought a new house, so we had to store all of my Warhammer stuff for a month. So I had this big bag of books, and I was like, okay, we do not take this bag if we're moving house because I need to bring this to the WTC. And then obviously during moving house, somebody took the bag, and I didn't have it on me, so we had to get all the teams together and get the actual English codexes. Because back in the days, people brought German or Italian or French codexes, and then something had a better invulnerable save, or the mission card said something different. You go like
As a
English card,
ref,
no,
I loved getting called to a table and then seeing French rulebook.
yeah,
It was lovely.
yellow
Like
cards, thank you very much.
refereeing before Wahapedia was a nightmare at times. So
Yeah, but that's exactly the reason why I want to have the codexes. Because the moment you're playing an army you don't know, here's the codex. If he's moving his shit, if somebody's calling something out, you go like, "Oh, the stratagem says something different," and the FAQ that Tom just gave me says nothing about it, so you're wrong. So that's the yeah,
Guess we're
that's the
calling Jay.
bonus. Then
that
one of the most fun facts with Tom, for example, was when we went to Allies of Convenience, and it was I think maybe 15 or 16 teams of 8 players, and Tom checked every list on the event, everything, and he printed
Brilliant.
everything, and then he sent a Google Doc file to the TO, and he was like, "Well, this is a list of all the wrong lists. This is the reason why it's wrong, and you can look up on this page and this page." So then Gas from Team Welsh just sent me a text like, "I don't know who your fucking coach is, but he will have free beer all weekend." Yeah, that's Tom, and since then he's not leaving.
No, he
well,
sounds like
that
an
seems
amazing addition.
yeah useful asset.
Yes, he's our secret autistic super weapon.
He was playing last summer's for.
Um, was
I
he?
think I played against a guy named Tom, but he was like British, but living in Netherlands.
No, that was Ron. One sec.
Aaron, oh sorry.
Yeah, Miss is going to bed. No, I think it
Understand.
was Ron is British, and then we have Tom. I don't believe Tom was there.
Cool. Doesn't
Uh,
matter really. Uh, okay, coming back to like few other topics that I wanted to touch upon. So you guys chose the team quite early. How did you guys approach choosing the armies? Did you go to events? Did you find a way of like marking what you think is the best in the game, etc., or did you have like a specific approach?
um, well, we had a couple of specific players. We had like 3 guys who were really good defenders. So from that point on, one of them was just playing Deathwing with the 40 Terminator bullshit, and he was just getting steady 10s or more.
You
Um,
by defenders you mean they had like good mindset towards that, like that they are fine with getting shit and just scraping away points. Okay.
yeah, he just literally said, "I'll just be first defender every time. Just give me table 7, I'll get 10 points." And then every time he got table 7, he got minimum 10 points. So like,
That's all you ask for.
yeah, that's what he asked for. Is like, just give me first defender so I can pick table 7. I'm fine. And sometimes he just 20 people with his stupid 40 Terminator list. Um, then we had a couple of other guys, same mindset. Just I have this army, I can get 10 points. I can go under the bus if it's necessary. I don't care. So the team effort was really good. There's no ego. Um, yeah, it's just one happy bunch of idiots playing with plastic miniatures. And then um, what else? Yeah, we just have a couple of the guys that we use as hammers or just as jokers. We just go into something and they go like, "Oh well, this might be shit pairing. Who wants to do it?" And I was like, looking at the cards or looking at the sheet, and I was like, "Mike Wins can do this. Go." Or
Okay, so you actually had like preset roles,
yeah,
or that you wanted to have going from the very beginning, like you wanted to have defender 1, defender 2, etc., and then do not think about it that much, or did you go more with the flow?
it's um, it's a work in progress because first we wanted to do like one or two defenders. They take either a shit pairing or something good for them, and then just go with the flow. Um, I think one of the reasons why we lost a couple of rounds this year is because we're not super strong on our pairings. The only difference that we had before COVID, we had a really good pairing maestro. We just gave him the pairings or the sheet, and he was like, "Cool, this is the data I have. I will get all the pairings that we need," and like 9 out of 10 he fixed. But then because our preparations back in the days were shit, the actual measurements or the scorings that we had in mind didn't work out. So it's like, yeah, I'll get a 12 on this and then come back with a 0, or oh, I'll get 20 and then come back with a 12. So pairing is still one of our, I think, one of our biggest weaknesses at the moment.
It sounds less like pairings, more like the estimations themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Well, so back in the days we had really good pairings, but the estimations were shit. And now our estimations are quite solid. I think we had one or two guys that were tads off because I already have the percentages somewhere where how well people can do their estimations. But our pairing is, well, we're working on it as we speak because we had a pairing guy come in the end of the team somewhere in July because I wanted to do the pairings, but I'm not that skilled yet. So yeah, you always have to have that one or two super good pairing guys, and that's something we're
Okay.
working on now.
So do you plan like this year to actually, for example, do sample pairings with armies before the submissions? Obviously,
Yeah,
we'll touch upon the 10th edition later because that's a tough nut to crack as well.
that's gonna be a fucking shit show. This one gonna be.
Yep.
But I assume you will try to get more into pairings before even choosing your armies, then,
Yeah,
right? Like you recognize that's like your weak point that you need to work on,
yeah.
and you want somebody dedicated doing that, like non-playing captain, non-playing guy doing that, or
Well, it depends a bit because the guy that is working on our pairings now just told me as well. Like, if you had me in earlier, we could have had um, like estimations, and then we could have put people either on different roles or different armies. And if you do these mock pairings, you can see like, oh, we miss this kind of army, or we miss a counter for the knits, or counter for knights, or whatever, or
Mhm.
the table pick for person number 2 was wrong, and the pick for the person number 3 was spot on. And we have all that data now, so now we just need to grow and work on it.
and you have like person that you have in mind that will work on it, right? It won't be yourself as a captain, but you have people that you delegate the tasks to.
Yeah, I've got about 2 to 3 people now working on it. So they have different sheets, also with different table layouts or which table they want, um, armies, or I think Dino spoke a lot with you as well for your system that he's trying to use. So you pick a couple of meta calls where you think this is going to happen or this kind of list will be there. What will our team members with their designated armies think they can score? Where's a gap? Do we need another army for it? Do we need to build a counter for it? So there's a lot of progression as we are yeah, as we're talking about
And
it now.
as you will have those 8v8s, you can actually test it out IRL and like play with the other team and actually then have a talk. Because you play one game, you can then have some insights and even play another 8v8.
Yeah,
So that's
or we could
convenient.
even, especially if we're gonna have more than 16 players like we have now, just not play yourself and just look at the people, how they're performing, how their matchup is, and then especially if we are going to have hopefully 24 people attending, I wanted to get a third 8-man team that knows one of the two armies that are playing per table, so they can stand next to the table and then help that or both players. Like, okay, I play nits, you play nits, or you're not using this stratagem. I would do this. I
Yeah.
would use this order of psychic powers, etc.
So
Basically, a
so you're
table coach almost
yeah.
for that
Yeah,
configuration.
because playing games with three people, I found that it's really helpful for the two playing people.
Yeah.
Because if it's good players anyway, because if I just send a rookie next to a table and he's asking all the questions, it might be good for him. Depends on the planning that we have. Um,
So it's kind of a thing that happens on TTS anyway.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
and
just you
that's what
just
we're
can't
using
have
for
this.
now. Yeah,
Cool. And you plan to be one of the guys to not be playing, I assume, and seeing some new faces, right? Like the first event.
yeah, on training days, yes. We've already booked in, I think, four foreign team events. Uh, one 5-man, two 5-man, and two 8-man events.
So
And
where are
we
you
go
going?
to ITT. We're coming in with two teams. The Malmo one, and one that's Robo hosting in November. And I think you guys are hosting one as well, but I need to have data. I'm
Yeah,
not
there will
sure.
be one.
I know Dino talked to you about something
Yeah, it
event.
will be happening like June, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. So now, as you had like something in mind coming to the event, first of all, I want to ask you how you felt about the whole thing about pods. Like previously, it wasn't a thing. How did you like it, or did you hate it because you needed to spend 13 hours in a single day and then felt like dog shit?
Well, I'm gonna talk shit now because Hyler started it all. I didn't mind because the third round was really easy for us. No, it's I really like the pod system. It gives you some time to prepare at least 3 rounds, and I think what Josh said in previous rounds as well. The moment you kind of know who will win their pod, it's like kind of you can do some estimations here and there, and then if you're good enough, because I thought we were gonna probably go 2-1,
Who
maybe
did
three
you
and
have
zero.
in your pod?
We had the States, we had Latvia, and we had Iceland. Latvia was new, so it was either gonna be really tough or yeah, a little bit like us back in the days. Iceland was doing so much shit talk that we were just gonna fuck them over one way or another. And then the United States was a tough cookie, but in the end, if I didn't fuck up the pairings in the last 4 games, we would have flipped. I think a 0-20 on Sean into maybe a 15 plus to us, and then we had a couple of swaps. But that's
But like last four pairings are a little bit random. Like
yeah,
you need there's so many variables that you need to make a judgment call on what at one point. You
yeah,
cannot account for every possibility. I mean, you can, but you need to take a risk.
yeah. You need either to take a risk, are really good at pairing, or already know the entire system. And because it was my first pairing, a real WTC pairing, where other more brilliant people or more experienced people were in. Because at the, because Sean told me afterwards, he was like, Okay, there's three pairings, and out of the three pairings, two I'm very, very not gonna win anything. And then Sean said to, I think Nick was coach, and he said, well, they're just gonna fuck up, and I get the only pairing I need. And then we fucked up, and he got the only pairing he need. So that's life.
That's not something you wanna rely on.
No, that's true, but I mean, it's still a game with a lot of dice, so sometimes a little luck is handy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, did you prepare a lot for like the pod phase? Did you guys focus mostly because you said that you expected to go 2-1, so
Yeah,
you kind of cannot prepare for the further phases of the event, like the next 4 rounds. It can be completely random. It can
yeah,
be
it could have been random, but at a certain point, I was just being more honest with myself and with the team. Like, okay, we're gonna aim for 2-1, and 3-0 is gonna be epic. We're not gonna underestimate anybody because I never played against any of the countries, and that's I think one of the cool things about the pots because now you're facing hopefully at least a couple of countries you never played against. Um, and
yeah.
we
Previously, it was like if you were a top team, if we didn't get somebody round one, we would then go through
yeah,
remaining top 6 teams, basically.
yeah, yeah, and like we did in Croatia, because then you can always still challenge people. So I think it was like a tradition with the Northern Ireland captain and the Dutch captain that they always challenge each other, and then we all started with a shot of whiskey or two, and then one of us beat each other heavily, and then you get a strong country. So we went 126 against something, and then we ended up against Russia. And if me or one of my buddies didn't fuck up, we would have either drawn or won that one. So mind blown. So then we got a lower country, and then we went to France. And then we got a lower country, and then we get to England or something. And
Yeah,
now
that's
it's
what I mean random. Like you can be to
yeah,
one, then play against anything, win, and then for example get I don't know, England who just lost to USA.
yeah, for
And be like,
example. And now it was you have at least 3 rounds, and because we had Iceland, we had a really easy go in last game. No, I'm just done talking smack talk. I already have it on video that Haidar is apologizing, so it's fine by me. 3 games is too much. I know that. I know everybody says that. I mean, for us, it wasn't that bad, or for me, maybe. But I really, really like the pots. And then, to be fair, I wanted to do more time for the team, but in June, when COVID just dropped here, there were so many events that I had to go to for work, so I just screwed myself a bit over. So we lost some preparation time on the pots. We still did some, but it wasn't what I had in mind. To be
so
fair,
you are coordinating a lot of stuff. You haven't got a person that would do it for you, right?
yeah. Well, last year I was really being a smartass and said, "No, I can do everything because there's 24 hours in a day, and I can do an 8-hour work shift, and then I can drive here to do Warhammers. Then apparently I have a wife, so I have to put time in there as well. And then there's something called sleep, which apparently you need as a human being, unfortunately. So last year I did a bit too much. And then this year I already learned about it, and we did a big feedback round with the team as well. So I've already been delegating the training days. I've been kind of delegating the team selection. I got somebody that does all the shirts design and books the hotels and all that kind of jazz. So there's a lot of stuff off my shoulders. I can still give it a green light or a red light if I don't like it, but yeah, it saves me a lot of hassle. I've
Yeah.
I've have been seeing because I already put one of the guys as a TTS captain, which is arranging all that kind of jazz. Because I don't know fuck all about it. So yeah, it saves me a lot of time to play more Warhammer or get some more rest.
Makes perfect sense to me. Uh, so now coming back to the topic you just touched upon, with you said like you didn't have as much time for preparation. How did you guys decide what games you need to play? Like, what are the required play tests before your pod or like the further rounds? Did you only decide that you do and analyze your pod and then go with the flow for the rest of the event, or did you actually look into like other top teams because you thought you will play against them?
Yeah, well, I was just being very positive. Um, I wanted to see, especially you guys, Australia, England, France, Germany, and obviously our pod, and from there on out, because obviously the pairing sheets is always a lot of work, and I wanted to do it as a whole, as a team, but then because I didn't have enough time, I didn't arrange for that. We did some calls via Discord and WhatsApp and all that stuff, but we did check up on the highest scoring teams or the best known to me, because funnily enough, next to me, I only had one ETC veteran, and all the other six were rookies. So we did
No,
some prep work, but yeah,
I mean it makes sense. Like, no matter how much you would say how much what needs to be done, unless you go to the event, you are not aware.
yeah,
Like, so you guys, after the list submission, you probably set up those estimation tables, etc. Did you guys go through all of it, or just decided to do few of the teams and then just fill in the gaps that somebody marked that certain pairing is an unknown, so you told them then go fucking play it?
yeah. It's a mix of everything of the above. The moment we had the lists in, we did the pods immediately. I said, okay, this week I want to have all the pairings and especially the pods. And from there on out, people didn't fill in everything, so you're calling them and apping them like, hey, dude, what the fuck? Where's my pairing sheet? And then at a certain point, I was like, cool, I want to have this our country, this country, this country, this country. Looking a bit at the pots and then assuming a couple of countries that were either less high scoring than you know from previous events. You go like, a cool, you can fill in these sheets. And I did it because if I don't do it, I don't have a leg to stand on for the other teammates. But I said, a couple of the countries that you're expecting, like for example Iceland, if they gave us dice and they told us like, well, we're the worst scoring team in the next year. I mean, not to be rough, because they're already working their asses off on TTS as well. Um, yeah, there are just some teams that if you think about it a bit smartly and you know your route. Because I was thinking, if we go 2-on-1, we'll face a good country. If it's gonna be a really good one, we're probably fucked, and then we'll go with the flow. But if it's an above average country like top 16, we might have a chance. So I think we ended up playing Italy. That was a lot of fun. And that was yeah, that was the most fun team of this year, right?
Yeah, I think we all had a great time against Italy.
Fucking hell. Yeah, we won that round. I remember Jay looking at us and he goes like, "So you won the round, right?" I said, "Yep." So why is everybody looking like they lost the round? I was like, "Forget about it." Like,
Where's the beer?
yeah,
Point me to the beer.
yeah. Just give me some sunlight and fresh air, and I'll be fine. So, and I think after that one, we faced England, and it was quite cool because we already almost beat them at AOC, or we drew them on 2 points. So for us, that was a really mood booster. And then we fucked up on the last four pairings.
I'm seeing a
So
pattern here.
yeah, that's the pattern you're gonna see against France as well. And then we played Canada, and then I
And how
beat
how did
Nigel.
it go with England? You lost.
We, I think at the end it was like 90. I'm not sure, 90-70 or something. I uh, I won against
So quite
Robbo.
close. One matchup going other way, and it's a draw.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think we fucked up the pairing Tau versus Sisters with Tau picking the table, so that was a dumb one. And what else? I think we threw Orcs against Knights, which could have been funny, but yeah, didn't didn't go as we planned. And that's also part of the team play, right?
Yeah, you live and
Uh,
learn.
yeah, because we had a lot of good game. Well, funny enough, we had I think good games the entire event, except a certain country, but whatever. Um, Still had a good game though. Um, yeah, it's just sometimes you don't get the pairing you want, or a player underestimates something, or I know our Necron guy versus Manny killed 4 out of 5 raids and then 4 stood back up, and he did that 3 times in a row. That's the fun point of reanimation protocols, and he still lost.
Skillful.
Just rolled 5 ups, just like Quince in the new season. Probably. No, but then we faced Canada, and that was. I always wanted to play Canada, so that's really cool. And then I ended up, they gave me Scary as well with my Quinn, so that was extra cool because I've been always chatting with the guy. And then I think we won by 1 point because our Tau player did something smart, and then he got 1 point. So then last minute of the last round of the last game was like fucking solid. That was
Yep.
glorious.
We were watching that game very closely, and it was down to, all right, we're gonna get the draw. What happened?
Yeah, that was really cool. I think you and Tom were standing there with your notepads, like,
We
yeah,
were-
I think we're gonna get a draw. I think we're gonna draw too. Oh wait, Dino, you got a point? Yeah, I got 4 points. Like, oh, then we win. Nice. Whoa. Yeah, that was quite emotional. That was super cool.
Yeah, no, you guys were a blast to play. All of my boys had a great time.
Yeah, same. It was awesome. I think.
And then you had France, right? Last round.
Yeah, France was last round. Super nice as well because I played them a couple of years ago, and then everybody still had a French codex, so that was amazing. And now all of a sudden everybody could speak English, and what's the best name? What's the new captain's name again?
Pierre Stor,
Yeah.
however you pronounce it.
Yeah, super nice guy. And no, we just had a really good round, but the moment we finished pairings, we just counted up points, and I was like, okay, we fucked up the last 4 again. So we need to go balls to the walls, and just that's what we did before the game as well. Like I said to the boys, like, okay, we fucked up pairings. To go all in, don't care. We need to do some janky shit now, and then we might get a win. And if we get 5 out of 7 wins, it's going to be glorious because we already have 1 more win than we had. Yeah, and some of us just played perfect draws. I think I did 92-92 against Knights. Like, but we think I put myself as champion where I would have needed to be attacker against Pierre, and then I would have had a better game, and our Blood Angel guy would have had Knights. So that should have been a better game.
Yeah.
But yeah, still,
So how did it finish?
have to check.
I mean, like the whole round.
France beat us, but I think we had 2 draws, a couple of losses, and a couple of wins, but not big wins. Like, I can check. I'm just curious now as well. No, it was quite big. It was 62 for us and 98 for them. So it was 2 draws, and then we had our Tau won, and the rest lost by 3 to 8 points, and anything between there. So it could have been a lot better. But yeah, that's the pairing. What I said. I think most of the players I brought were really good. Everybody's still learning, and that's what the training days are good for. Just especially if you play them a lot, you see or you know what their mistakes are, and then you go like, "Cool, you always do this wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. I would do this and see what it does." And then they go like, "Oh, that's actually really smart," or "Oh, I never thought
Yeah,
about this," or
that's what you mentioned earlier. Like you do not have much ego in your team, so people can take criticism and harsh feedback as well, right? So
uh,
it will
yeah,
only get better.
yeah, and that's what I'm really happy with, and that's what I'm aiming for as well. The moment somebody go talking about, no, no, I need to do this and this, I'll just tell them to shut the fuck up and either get the fuck out of the team or learn to play as a team, because fucking hate those people.
It's
Yeah,
good to not have any strong egos on the team for that reason, because
you win as a team or lose as a team. Like
Yeah, and I'm rude enough to not give two fucks if somebody tells me like, no, I'm fabulous, or I don't give zero fucks given.
and now to address the elephant in the room. With 10th edition coming in, and
Yeah,
we have no clue how much of a change it will be. Probably some people will know like 2 months beforehand than we do, which is also great for competitive integrity. Uh,
huh?
or maybe they will not have NDAs by then. We'll see. Um,
or not anymore.
uh, yeah. So how do you guys plan to approach it? Because we had similar issue this year, like Nephilim and the CP changes
Yeah.
changed a lot. So I think there's some similarity. And how did you guys approach it beforehand? And how does it impact your preparation and team choices this year?
So Nephilim did shake up a couple of things. However, I think our Dark Angel guy jumped over to Blood Angels, and he was just playing TTS, and he doesn't have a life, so he was really easy, just doing 10 games a week. So that was good. Our I think Thousand Sun player was really happy because he actually got good secondaries. Um, yeah, our sister player was really happy as well, so that was good. Quins were also happy. I just needed to put a unit of bikes in my army that would have made me really happy, but didn't have enough time. Um, yeah, our Necron guy obviously was really happy, but Dick was playing Necrons for the last 5 years, so at a certain point he goes like, "Wait, I actually have good stuff now." So we were either really lucky on just picking up some good faction specialists that got yeah, busted up the roof because of Nephilim, and we had I think one or two people that just need to flip their army.
And with like 10th coming up, we have no clue what will be playable. So like having faction specialist doesn't really seem like something that will be
No.
that useful. So how do you guys plan to tackle that?
So at the moment, I think I already have a list of almost all people that play a lot, and they have at least 2 to 3 armies they're working on. I mean, it's gonna be one shit show just like the start of eighth. I just don't hope they bring indexes back or they learn some stuff. But if you're looking at the shown new detachment where you can soup and vote with every Imperium thing, I just hope it's
It's teams, man. It
yeah,
will
yeah,
not
I know
happen to
it's
don't
not
worry
everyone
about
with
that.
them.
it's not that bad, but it's still I just fucking hate souping. That's all.
Yeah, like my memory from what was it, 2014 when there was early seventh, and 2017 when there was early eighth.
Yeah,
Like what I like about those events at the very beginning of an edition is that you see a lot more armies because less things are streamlined.
yeah, fair.
So there's more variety, but at the same time, it means a hell a lot more work for everyone. Which, when I think about how much work the event is already, I'm kind of scared how it will look. Because
Yeah.
how much time do you need to actually dedicate to being a
Yeah,
captain?
yeah. It's one of the reasons why I don't get the voting um, from the fellow captains is Especially, I mean, I know you guys are even crazier than us, and a couple of countries as well. But if you're practicing since September for a potential ninth edition uh, setup, and you already know that 10's coming, and you either want to do it earlier because the 10th edition, I assume, is going to be end of June or end of July. If it's going to be end of July, we have 2 weeks, and then we're fucked.
No,
So
if it's end of July, I don't think we'll play 10.
I hope not, but huh? I mean, officially we're already voted on it. But yeah, that's the thing I don't get. Why would you vote on something if you were already working on something for more than a year, and you know your half of your game plan is thrown in the bin for no reason?
I think it's different when we talk about new edition release like late May, early June.
Yeah, but they
And
always do it in June, July, because
yeah,
then it's the summer
when I
holiday.
recall 7th and 8th, it was like first half of June, and you had basically everything by like first week already. Everything was leaked. So like it doesn't sound as bad when you think about it, because it's like a month, but it still will be a pain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's still a month, and one of the biggest risks, like you're saying, that one of the really nice things is the diversity that you see, but there's also the opportunity that your 8 armies that you end up choosing miss the mark entirely, and you misread what the meta is going to look like, and just find yourselves in a hole.
Yeah.
yeah. Or stuff isn't fact yet, or WTC guys miss something, and then somebody there's one team gonna find the glitch, and then we're all screwed. Because I remember I think Russia back in the days when everybody played their demons, and one guy played 10 homunculuses with Casket of Souls. It's like boom, auto win, done. I mean, how many? Yeah, you still need to find them, and if you have a big community or you have a lot of sneaky gits or somebody that thinks out of the stamina or just goes mental about something funny and it actually works and nobody sees it coming. It's fun if you're that team, you know. But if nobody sees it coming or everybody just takes 5 times 5 storm ravens with a character, yeah, whoop you do.
That was fun.
Yeah,
Early
sure.
8th was the worst. But okay, so I think I don't know. I have a kind of strong opinion that I want to play on 10th edition, just for the sake of not having for example, 2 months of playing previous edition while our whole community plays new edition, because that just means you cannot follow anything online, and you need to be in your close group, which isn't fun
Mhm.
as well. And I think there's another thing about the whole publicity and coverage of the event. If everything will be played on previous edition, people already moved past it, so people will
Uh,
not be as involved. So
I can get both parts of the coin,
yeah,
but it's I mean, we didn't have chaos this year. I didn't know anything about chaos till August, or didn't care about any chaos space marines.
I
Did
learned it at
you really
LGT.
mind? Not really. There was no FAQ. There was no book. Well, the book's now really good. Fine. I mean, and if you have a big community that really wants to do WTC, or you're doing the big team plays. I mean, I get it. You want to do the new stuff, but I also want to do the new stuff with FAQs or stuff that's hammered down instead of yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think everyone knows that it's a bad decision both ways. Whatever you do,
Yeah.
it's just what you prefer.
And
But when we're
unfortunately,
talking about stuff you are unhappy about, Ruud, what's something that you were unhappy about during the whole WTC this year that you would change in your like team's approach? I know pairings, but was there something else that you'd like to touch upon? Maybe in
Mm,
preparations, like you
yeah.
already gave away a lot of your responsibilities to other people. Maybe there's something more that we haven't tackled yet.
Um. No, I think most of it I already addressed. Well, Paris is the obvious one. think more focused training from the guys, and but that's what we're also working on. Um, I think this WTC was the best one I've had so far, especially well, not only team wise but also organization wise. Um, any other stuff? Yeah, maybe I need to get a computer for TTS. Uh,
To at least watch how others play.
hey man, I have Discord on this, so I can actually watch
True.
other people play TTS. That's the reason why I saw Dino playing Volten against Volten. Um, other stuff. I think we were quite well prepared on most points I wanted to. I think I've already addressed everything.
Okay, cool. Uh,
Easy.
and as a captain, with the future event being a lot more work if it's gonna be 10th,
Yeah.
how much work was it for you this year? Like, if you were to kind of sum it up, so like people who listen or watch to those episodes can understand what was the undertaking for you to actually be part of this.
Um, well, for me, it's a bit extra as well because I am organizing a lot of WTC style single events to generate money for the team. So I think technically all of our profits from every GT or RTT or team event that I was hosting last year went into WTC. So we had free T-shirts, free dice, free tickets for the team. I think most of the hotel was fixed. There was quite some food already fixed by the team. So I think every team member paid $300 for the entire. Well, no, sorry, yeah, $350 to attend the WTC and then be in the prospect pool. So I was hosting at least a 2 day event or two RTTs a month. So that sucks up a lot of time. Then it's WhatsApping, texting, gaming. Yeah, if it's 20 to 30 hours a week minimum, I guess.
Yeah, basically nearly another job.
Yeah, yeah, like another part-time job, which back in the days I did two full-time jobs and that was fine. But now I also have a missus, and that sucks up a lot of time as well in a good way. But yeah, because I'm delegating a lot now, I'm a really happy camper because trading days are not my responsibility anymore. And then making sure that all the guys are attending, you have to text them 25 times like, hey, are you actually attending? What army are you bringing? Did you fill the pairing sheet? If you do that every month, that's already too many hours you don't want to spend.
Yeah, makes
So,
sense.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of time, but then again, it's for me it's totally worth it because seeing everybody there in that big ass concrete bunker talking shit against each other and seeing everybody, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's like highlight of my every year. Like,
Yeah, one of the biggest. Yeah, every year.
Jeremy, do you have any more questions yourself?
I think covered most everything. Like I was very curious about Tom's bowling, but you've spoken very highly of him and the amount of work that he puts in. It sounds like he is probably the most valuable asset your team has. Um, and it's you said from the selection perspective that he's basically helps pick that first person that starts forming the team.
Yeah.
But you didn't mention, are you involved at all in that process?
So what I always think is very important is that the captain can have a saying in the team, but the way I've written it this year is that Tom can pick the player that he think is best suited for the team, but it can never be the captain
Okay.
because as a captain I don't have an secure spot in the team. I have to earn it as well.
Hmm.
So if I would be the worst player in the Netherlands, I'm not already sold on a spot. I can be non-playing player if I have eight better guys. which would
Okay,
be
so you can
amazing.
be non-playing captain then, basically.
Well, yeah, if I suck or if there's better players. At the moment, it's not that far yet. So we already have picked our best player. That's Justin,
Hmm.
and then Justin and Tom pick B. So yes, now I'm in the voting process or the picking process. But I know in the last 2 years we did the entire team selections in an evening. So we had a year of data from all the rankings, which player played what, and we just started calling people. So we had a vice captain, we had me, we picked a third player, or we called the third player, then we called the fourth guy, then I think it's a WhatsApp call of about 5 hours, and every half an hour, you put
Just
something new in.
add someone in.
Yeah,
That's efficient.
yeah, and now it's more because we started. Well, Tom started in September, and the first player was pretty obvious because
Hmm.
Justin is without doubt the best Dutch player we have. I mean, I can give him any army and he just fucking tables everybody anyway. So that was pretty set. And from there on out, we now are with the three of us, and we have a good idea who we want to have in the team, but it's a fun discussion because we can take our time, or we have 3 months,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
from
because you're
there on
saying
out,
March 31st is the deadline that you've set for yourselves to have the 8
yeah,
selected.
yeah,
And there are two team events coming till then, so you can test out new faces.
Lots of
exactly.
data. No, that's wonderful. No, that's the last bit that I was wondering. I think that was the one gap in your process that I was wondering about. Um, no, it's been wonderful listening to you and being part of this.
No
I have
worries.
one final question,
Uh-oh.
or
Only one. Only one.
actually two.
There you go.
Sorry. One is, what advice would you give to like future new captains? What one thing that you feel they need to know?
I already heard this one every time. It's a bit of a two-headed snake because the tip that I got from my previous captain, he said the moment you are a captain, you're not playing Warhammer, you're managing people because every fucking year somebody's bitching about something, and then you have to put them down or you have to talk to them a lot or whatever. Um, and then the first time he said it, I was like, nah, it's gonna be fine. And then now I'm thinking like, yep, 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 he had a point. Um, and the other tip that I would give myself is um, just make sure that you know what you want to do with the team. If you are the captain and you want to put down a good score, make sure you get the right people and the right mindset. And if you want to go there for a week of beer and pretzels, that's fine. But then pick a solid team on that one, or just invite 7 friends and get pissed all week. That's fine as well. But if you want to do some actual good scoring, make sure that you get people all headed in the same direction. Let them know beforehand what you're expecting, and make sure that they also check with the home front, because that's what I had a chat with a couple of other guys like Team Australia were telling. It's fine that you want to do WTC, but it costs a lot of money and it's gonna suck up a lot of time. So make sure with your partner, your wife, or whoever you're living with, that they also know what they can expect.
Yeah,
'Cause I had some fun chats last year. That's
I feel you.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
we've all be- we've all been there. And like, on the closing notes, do you wanna say anything to your previous and also future team? Any like last messages?
Well, first of all, I can actually use technology pitches. And then no, my message to the old team and probably a lot of the guys, hopefully, are gonna get on this year's team. You're all awesome. We busted our balls last year, and hope we're gonna bust our balls even better this year. So we're aiming for at least top 5. So that's why we're working on pairings. And our biggest goal every year as Team Netherlands is to end up higher than Team Belgium because they suck anyway.
Belgium United. Let's
Yeah,
play
yeah,
that.
Team Wallonia or Team French United or whatever. Back in the days when it was still Belgium, the only goal for the old Team Netherlands was get higher than Belgium. So yeah, shots fired.
Good. I mean, you're not reaching high enough, I guess, but like
No, I mean, I think in about 2 or 3 years we'll fuck you guys. But I mean, slow steps, small steps.
it can happen. Like we lose to some randos, like people who fuck spiders and ride kangaroos. So
Yeah,
we have tendency to lose to different nations. So it can happen.
yeah. I just talk a lot of shit and get people drunk, right? I mean, that's one of my tactics normally.
Well, we are Polish. We kind of do that as well. So
Yeah, I know.
uh, it was nice talking to you. Ruud. It's always nice to hear like insights not only from the very top, but also teams who are aspiring to get there.
Yeah,
Because
thank you.
there's like the growing communities also show like how much it requires. Because what you said as a captain, you need managing people, but you also need to kind of manage the growth of your community in a sense to
Yeah,
not discourage people from the event and how much work it needs. So
yeah.
it's great to hear that it's working.
And you also have to be honest and open because if you can say like, "Oh, we're going to beat the Polish in 2 months," yeah, sure,
You
bro.
probably can. Like in two
Yeah,
months we might play.
it can, but I mean, it would be amazing. But well, I want to, but I'm not assuming. So, but it's also important that you have, or you need to try to get the community all there. Because back in the days, it was just like a gentleman's club that just asked the same friends every year, and now it's the last time I spoke to one of those guys, they said, "Well, I hope you really get a couple of guys, but I don't think you get more than 6 decent players." And now I have like almost 30 people attending, and everybody's busting their balls to get in the team. So it's for me, it's really good to see as a community how we've grown into competitive wargaming.
And I think a lot of countries also show that when I look at the history, like the two countries that are most secluded nowadays, I would say in their team choices are like USA and England, and they are also trying to reach out to change that and
Yeah,
not being a boys club that just goes together. And I think that's great because it the more people will have at that event, the more people will get hooked into it. So
yeah, yeah. And for us, it's super easy because it's in Belgium, so it's an hour drive.
yeah.
So we also have a lot of just Dutch players joining the event, and they go like, "Oh, there's a lot of players I've never seen before." Or um, one of my friends just went to make selfies with all the USA guys when he was there. It's like, "Oh yeah, it's funny, nice to see you," and I watch out of World Day, blah blah, selfie, selfie, selfie. It's fun, man. It's
Mhm.
yeah, the opportunity to see everybody is just cool.
Great. It was great talking to you. Anything you want to add, Jeremy?
No, aside from since Innes isn't here and neither is Anthony, I'll just do the quick plugs real fast. If you're still with us and you've been listening to us for the last hour and a bit, you've been enjoying the content that Typhus and the rest of the team have been putting out. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast feeds, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/statcheck. If you really like the stuff that you do and you want to pester us on Discord or just give us more feedback and more ideas for crazy show ideas, we do have a Patreon where you can get into our Discord. The Patreon is patreon.com/statcheck. Yeah, that's everything. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you, Ruud, for taking time out of your night to chat about the WTC and your experiences so far.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me,
Pleasure.
and see Piotr in March and see you in August, I guess.
We'll see each other in February in ITT.
Oh, you're going to ITT as well.
I'm refing there.
Oh, cool. I can get you drunk. It's fine.
Easy.
All right, let's sign off. Everyone have a wonderful evening.
All right, bye. Bye bye.